touchdown, time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like
my regular set of closing tonight, so that's tonight. So.
And we can call a man dog or watch my score on the hand dog. Rest of the division, your man Saul Jackson like Sean, Hunter like Randall. Season head, really time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
Us, I wish we could see that dude who's talking all that shit on Golden State.
Oh yeah.
He was like, he must be out your mind.
Exactly.
At least go to the next round.
Good evening.
Right there. That alone,
Good.
What's happening, Black?
What's going on, man? This is the Philly, the city edition. So I guess we're going to talk about the Sixers, the Flyers, the Phillies, and the Eagles.
Phillies.
So we're gonna put it all. Into the context. This hour or so. We may have a couple of guests on the show, but we're gonna have a good show tonight. Y'all get ready.
Yeah, we definitely going to discuss the state of Philadelphia. There's really not much to talk about, but it's a lot to talk about. We don't need to discuss the Flyers. Yeah. The Flyers are disgusting. I think yesterday they got the 5th pick in the upcoming NHL draft, and in the NHL draft they have like 3 legit studs that can impact the game, and everything else looks like it's a project. So of course the Flyers get the 5th pick. The Phillies, we all knew what the Phillies were going to be. We all knew what the Phillies were going to be this year if the pitching didn't show up. But it's like the pitching don't show up. When it does show up, the hitters don't show up. It's the same thing. You're getting the same thing from the Phillies that we knew, we expected. Like, we don't put, you and I, we have realistic expectations. So we knew what we were going to get from the Phillies going into the season.
Right.
You have the Sixers, who I'm happy. Harden's limping along and Beeb's banged up. We can already take this thing to 7 games. If we take this thing to 7 games, anything can happen in a game 7. And realistically, anything can happen in a game 7, and anything can happen in a series. So the Sixers they're still a shot. Like, I believe they should go out there and win tomorrow. And then we in Miami for game 7. So that's it for the Sixers. What I really want to do is talk about the Eagles. We haven't had a chance to discuss this draft that had just taken place. And it was a great draft in some people's eyes. Howie did a good job. And we're going to lead with draft talk tonight. And we got a special guest. We have Brandon, my man, 100
grand jumping on. What's going on, Brandon?
What's going on, guys? It's been a minute.
Not much, man. We got a little bit of freeze in the corner, but we good, man. So, yeah. I'm gonna pick up.
And
go ahead, Mark.
No, I was introducing him, but for some reason I was introducing Brandon, but welcoming Brandon to the show because Brandon is like I said, the OG of Philly, the podcast, and he's always excited about the Eagles. He always has great insight. Even when I'm down and trashing everybody, Brandon always finds something positive to say about what's going on in Philadelphia.
Yeah, man. We'll get into it, but we can't complain about this draft here. At the end of the day, this was a good one, but we'll get into it. We'll deep dive.
Yes, sir. So, from my aspect of things, of how I saw the draft, overall, I think it was a great draft. I would have liked to see them, at least get some secondary help in the draft, man. Like right now, you don't even know who the second corner is going to be. Do you really trust the safeties, right? And it's, you can always, fall back on this saying, well, the first game isn't being played. The first official game isn't being played until September. And then you have, training camp and then preseason, so you never know what happened between then. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you don't know who's going to come available, or if someone does come available, are they even going to be good enough for the team? So what were some of your pros, and then what were some of your cons about the draft?
Yeah, so I mean, I think you hit the nail on the coffin there with the con. We'll go with the con first because I mean, you said it. We didn't address the secondary yet, and it was kind of the same thing last year, right? Last year we were sitting by, we're like, dang, like yeah, we got a couple guys like McPherson and stuff in the draft, but we were really sitting like we don't have a corner two. We don't have a corner two. Later on, we end up getting Steven Nelson, so hopefully we can get someone competent enough to hold it down. We don't need two Darius. I mean, we do eventually. We need an heir apparent. We need someone that's going to be able to take over, but we need someone that's going to be able to be competent. And I know that even today, I think, it was today, Howie did an interview with Derek Gunn, and that was one of the questions was like, what do you tell the fans that are worried about the secondary between corner or safety? And he was basically saying that, yeah, like sometimes in the draft, like you're not going to hit every position. There's going to be a position or something that people are going to be upset about that we didn't hit or we don't have. But we have between now and September 1st, whenever the first games are, to really fill the needs that come in. I mean, they might believe in a Kayvon Wallace or Mike Epps and all that. I mean, Epps is cool. He fills in the spot once in a while, but Wallace, I mean, I know people were excited about getting him, and he hasn't really come to fruition yet. He's always been hurt, or he's just been on special teams. So it's going to be interesting to see if we roll with him to see if he's developed over the last 2 seasons. But a pro, I mean, the biggest pro is that not only did we get multiple people in the first round, obviously we traded up for Jordan Davis, but then we were able to trade for A.J. Brown. I know we're going to get into all that, but it's the fact that we were able to solidify the future at center in the second round, but really get that second round pick in the third round, if that makes sense. Like where we want like the second round pick to be able to be a day one starter, a day one contributor. Like you want people in those first 3 rounds to be contributors within the first day. I mean, if someone sits from the third round, you're okay with it. But the fact that we got Nakobe Dean in the third round, it kind of flip-flops that Juergens pick, right? It makes it seem like, all right, now I'm okay with Juergens sitting behind Kelsey for a year, really learning how to be an NFL center and being that quarterback of the offensive line. And then we got that guy that should have been a first-round pick, should have been a first top 20 pick in this draft in the third round. I mean, that's the big obviously we got to wait and see, but on paper, biggest steal of the draft, no doubt.
Right. And what I want to know is why. What were the particular reasons that Nakobe Dean fell all the way to the third? You hear a lot of things out there about his shoulder and some other things. He didn't run a faster 40 and all of that. I want to know what is the real reason he fell all the way into the third quarter, third round. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people were talking about his injury. That the one thing that kind of does worry me is a shoulder stinger, because all of a sudden we saw Jordan Howard not play for almost a full season based off a shoulder sting. Like all of a sudden, this dude, he was like, oh, he only has a sting in his shoulder, and we didn't see him for like the rest of the season. So that kind of makes me nervous for sure, and I think that's what probably made other teams nervous along with his size. I mean, yeah, he's not the biggest guy. He plays bigger than his size. And I mean, at the end of the day, if he was able to hold his own in Georgia, he was the leader of that defense. Dudes respected him. It wasn't like he was like Rudy or something. Like he wasn't the small guy that just came out of nowhere. Like this guy built himself and is a real football stud. And I don't know. I mean, we'll find out. But if he pans out and is who we think he's supposed to be, this was just a blessing in disguise or something. I don't know.
Right. And then obviously the trade for A.J. Brown, I think that served a purpose on maybe a few or 2 or 3 fronts. One, it's kind of saying to the Jalen Hurts, like, look, man, you have this year, right? We've given you what you needed on offense. You have, I still think they need to get another veteran running back back there. But you have tight ends, you have running backs, you have a line. It's about you. It's about you consolidating all of those pieces and growing and showing this team that you're going to be a franchise quarterback. If you cannot do that within this 17 or 18 game season you have, I don't know if you're going to be here next year. It's a real reality. You want to get behind him and hope that he does seize this opportunity to be the franchise quarterback. But man, they gave you everything you need. It's up to you at this point.
So I think as far as safeties, we were lacking, but I'm going to keep my eye out on Jared Maiden. I really like him. Alabama kid. He was with the 49ers last year. I've been watching film of him this past week, and the dude is as technical as they come. Like, he's a little small. I think they have him listed as 6'1", 205. But, I mean, I think he's going to get the opportunity to play because our safety room is kind of it's not deep.
Right.
With McLeod leaving for Indy, and we don't know what Kayvon Wallace is. We really don't know. He has every tool to be Cam Chancellor-ish, but we still don't know what he is. So I like Jared Maiden, Alabama kid, second-year player. He looks like he can cover. He looks like he can come down the box. He might not be as physical as you need to be against the run, but I really got my eye on that kid. I'm watching him, and I expect big things from him. I think when we get into the season 8 weeks from now, you guys are going to pull this up.
Yeah. So back to Hurts. Man, it's like, look.
Swerve might have called one, but the kid, he can cover.
We'll pivot. So we'll, back to the AJ Brown situation. I want to know, why would I understand that it was a financial reason, but I still wouldn't have gotten rid of AJ Brown, man. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a Tennessee Titan, you already have a situation where you really don't even trust the quarterback there.
Right. And
then you take AJ Brown away from him. So basically all anyone's going to do is just load the box against my guy. So it's like, look, man, you got the AJ Brown thing, which opens up. I don't know what they're going to do, and that's another thing. I don't know what they're going to do with Rieger. I don't even know why. What is his purpose on this team now, really? Because he's shown you that he can't translate his success as even a punt returner or a kick returner to the pro level because he's not thinking faster. You know what I'm saying? He's not thinking faster. So you got that, and then you got the situation where even Quez Watkins is going to take. So what role? You're not going to play him on. You're not going to play him on special teams, other than if he was a recruit. What do you do with him? What can you get for him at this point? So go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, shoot, that's the tough part about it, right? Is that at the end of the day, when you draft these guys, everyone knew Rieger was a reach in the first place. That was a second-round guy, maybe a third-round guy. I think a lot of people liked him in the second. He could have probably been a late first round if all the really good wide receivers like Justin Jefferson, if we grabbed him, and then if the Vikings took whoever the next good wide receiver was, there's a chance that Rieger, he was on people's radar. But we did reach. We took him over Justin Jefferson. Not saying that Justin Jefferson would have been putting up the numbers that he's been putting up with the Vikings, because Kirk Cousins does, as bad as he is, he does like to air it out. And they do have an offense with Dalvin Cook where people have to worry about him. And there's a reason why Justin Jefferson is able to do what he does. So that being said, I mean, with A.J. Brown and you surround Hurts, like you said, and this is a try, like the last straw year for Hurts. And it's fortunate and unfortunate, right? Like we all thought that maybe this past season was going to be that, and that we were going to go ahead and get a veteran for this next season or go ahead and draft a quarterback. But the fact that they're at least giving him another season, at least I feel like that's good. I felt like he had unnecessary expectations last year when he was a second-round pick. He was supposed to be just the backup to our $128 million quarterback and Carson Wentz. And that whole thing just blew up. And it was like, all right, Hurts, now that you played at Alabama and Oklahoma and a Heisman finalist, you're the starter now. And if you don't pan out, we're going to boot you too. So it's just like, I'm glad that they are basically saying, like Hurts said the other day, it's his team. He keeps saying it's my team. They're putting the pieces in place. It's kind of like that second season with Wentz when they went and got an Alshon Jeffrey. Now they got an even better wide receiver than an Alshon Jeffrey, because as good as Alshon was, he was playing hurt too, with a hurt shoulder pretty much all year. And he ended up needing to get surgery. And that was pretty much the end of Alshon Jeffrey after that season. Right. So with Rager, it's tough. I mean, I've realistically, as much as we want to just get rid of guys, we do need depth, right? We do need that wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 for when our top 3 do something happens or they need a break or anything like that. And it's just unfortunate to see a first-round pick utilized as depth, as the backup guys, as the guy that's standing on the sideline waiting for his turn to go in and congratulating dudes on good plays. Like, it's unfortunate that that's what it comes down to. But it is what it is at this point. I mean, I'm not gonna say, you know, give Devontae Smith less snaps, give Quez Watkins less snaps. When we see that when he gets more snaps, he becomes more productive, and he has the speed and the ability to take a 2-yard pass to the house. Like, he has that stuff, and right. It is what it is at this point. I mean, it's been what, three years at this point. I mean,
he went from the first round pick, the 19th pick, I think, right, in that draft, to being the 5th option. And he may not even be that when you look at, you know, the running backs. So that could be
facts.
God. It's
and
like,
with JJ going to tight end, who knows? That could be his bread and butter right there. He might actually solid at tight end.
JJ at tight end is a really bad idea.
Yeah,
but he was the number 1 rated blocking receiver by PFF. Hey. He did do that. I'm gonna just say this: Rager is a disappointment. He's been an extreme disappointment. Like Brandon said, you hate to see depth as your 5th wide receiver being the first round draft pick when you see Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it's tough, man. You know what I mean? Like, just the fall for him, and you would hope that somewhere in this well, yeah, you would think that you would see the growth somewhere, right? In any part of it. You know, so it's tough. It's tough to see that, knowing what could have been if they didn't draft him. You know what I'm saying? Like, seeing that, you know, you could have had Justin Jefferson, and then with the whole JJ thing, you could have had DK Metcalf, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time beating up on those guys. We're in 2022. You know, I want to really focus on, where do you see the team, you know, just on paper right now? You know, let's say they do get a second corner on the other side of Slay. What do you see as the outlook for the season?
Do you think they should make a play for the cat from the Giants?
Yeah,
because he's available. He just got cut. And I think
depends on the money, right?
he's gotten cut after the draft. He ain't gonna get a real. He's not gonna get real money from realistically anybody this year. So why not make a play for was it Bradbury?
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, if I'm Howie, I definitely Bradbury's better than anything we have on the roster right now. So if I am Howie, I'm definitely blowing up Bradbury's phone. I'm giving him more money than he can probably get anywhere else. And he also gets to play the Giants 2 times next year to get his revenge. That would be selling points. And I think if you get him, and if you pair him with what we were able to accomplish in the draft by getting a Jordan Davis, and if Nakobe Dean is the player that I think he's going to be, I think the defense is definitely made drastic improvements. He's made drastic improvements defensively. I think Nakobe Dean is smaller. He plays bigger, like Brandon said earlier, but he reminds me of Roquan Smith a lot. He's just not as explosive. He doesn't explode and finish his tackles the way Roquan Smith did. But if you look at Georgia tape, sideline to sideline, number 17 is flashing. Number 17 is flashing every time you watch Georgia play defensively, and that's what we need. Joe's guy, Davion Taylor. I mean, is he? We don't know what we got there. What is Hassan Reddick's role going to be on this defense? But I believe if you put Jordan Davis next to Fletcher Cox, 2 very massive gentlemen, I think they're going to keep the offensive line from getting to the second unit, and there's going to be a lot of tackles this year for the linebackers to make. I think when you look at if playing Jordan Davis and Fletch at defensive tackle together, we haven't seen guys that big since what Tony Saragusa and Sam Adams, or John Henderson and Marcus Stroud. That type of defensive tackle combination, those linebackers should be free. And if you're free and you're clean, those linebackers should be making tackles this year on defense. I mean, Alex Singleton, God bless him. But we should get more. We should have more. Or what's the word I'm looking for? I need Nakobe. I think Nakobe Dean is by far better than Alex Singleton. I think Nakobe Dean's going to come in and he's going to establish himself as a leader, and he's going to be the guy on defense. But when the year is over, he's not going to be necessarily the leader because you still have the Fletches. If Brandon Graham comes back, you still have Brandon Graham. So I'm not saying he's going to be the emotional leader or the best player on the defense, but I think when it's all said and done, he'll be the one wearing the helmet and putting everyone in place. I think he's that smart and he's that talented. Jordan Davis is a monster. Like, we discussed earlier, I had him at the top 10 guy going into the draft. So to get him at 13 was a steal. So I'm optimistic. I know prior to the draft, we said the Eagles were probably a 5-win team. But with the acquisition of A.J. Brown, Jordan Davis, and the pieces that they had prior in place, I believe they can get 9-10 wins again. Because I think A.J. Brown just made Quez Watkins so much better. A.J. Brown just made Greg Ward so much better. Is Rager even the 5th best receiver on this team is a question. That's a real question.
Right.
Is Rager the 5th best?
Even with Greg Ward, I feel like this is like Greg Ward's that guy that obviously we know who he is, right? He's the quarterback turned wide receiver that fought to get on this team like 100 times, cut back on, had a great season, had that spectacular winning touchdown catch on Josh Norman. But even last year, he struggled too. He had a couple big drops last year as well.
Drops.
Yes.
So it's definitely tough in that back end of our receiving core. Like, so hopefully we don't have to really rely on them, and we can rely on the A.J. Brown, the Devontae Smith, the Quez Watkins, to the Goddard, and maybe this dude I don't even know how to say his last name. Calcaterra.
Mark.
Now,
I think
Apparently he's a baller too. Low key.
the question is where
before transferring.
Grant Calcaterra, that's his name. Yeah.
where does Gainwell fit in? That's the question.
You know,
Is
with
it,
Gainwell, I'm hoping that they don't try to overuse him like they did last year. I felt like last year they tried to force feed him, like force him in when they had a healthy Miles Sanders and they were still trying to force feed Gainwell in. Like, do we still have Jordan Howard? Is he still on the team?
No.
Well,
what I really want to know is
use Gainwell.
What I really want to know is what is going on with these front office moves. Like, it's like they're trading people out, like it's like they're moving out of college or something into a new dorm or something, man. Like every week for the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've been losing people. So what is there something going on within the front office that I don't know, and I understand that there's turnover on each team after the draft, but you're losing a lot of not just people but good people, And then I want to know also. I heard in another spot, shout out to Mosher and Kaplan, in regards to what. The whole thing with Andy Weidl's brother being not, I don't want to say he's fired. He was probably just let go, because I think that's the type, with a guy with that type of mind, it's not really a firing, because he's going to be picked up probably in the next week or so. But I want to know what went on behind the scenes and how he is going to fix that. Because that's a lot of work on top of trying to figure out what else is going on with the team. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what I was listening to, I think it was NFL Network or one of the stations, and they're basically, it seems like a pro in a sense. It seems like we're able to get these younger people in, people that are able to contribute and really make a name for themselves, and they're going off and getting jobs and opportunities where they can either move up or be promoted on a different team. So in a sense, the fact that these guys are like being able to, like the Andrew Berries of the world, the dude that's on the Jets, like those kind of guys, the fact that we're able to get people into higher positions or the ability to go to a different team so they can potentially have a higher position, I think that's attractive to young people that are high prospects in their specific jobs to come to the Eagles, because it shows that, hey, you come to the Eagles, you'll get good work in, you can make a great resume and potentially move up in this industry. And maybe it's a pro. I'm going to take it as a pro. Maybe Marv might come in and hit you with some negatives. I'm going to try to take it as a pro right now.
Yeah, I feel that, man. What you think, Marv?
I'm with Brandon. I think that it's like people come here and they put their time in here and they go elsewhere to succeed. Like, I look at it like you can let's say you're at a job, right? Let's say I say I'm hiring Brandon and I'm hiring Black today, and I'm the general manager, but I'm gonna bring you guys on under me as an assistant, and we have that Super Bowl run. And then you guys sit here for a few years. You learn personnel. You learn the financial side. Like, I think Howie is a financial genius. I think as a football scout, he sucks. But I think, like, as a guy who can work the books, Howie's a wizard. So I mean, if you sit and like you, Black, you might be a football guy. Brandon, you might be a numbers guy. You come here, you see how Howie does it and how Howie operates, and then you stay here until like Joe Douglas is in New York, right? Yeah. So somebody who was here when Joe Douglas was here, now Joe Douglas has the head job in New York. He might say, hey, Brandon, you're a film guy here, or you're this guy here, but won't you come here and work for me with a higher title? So I get it. I mean, because every league is a copycat league. Every league in sports is a copycat league. So if you feel like that the Eagles and Howie is doing something right, and you can get someone from Howie's staff to come and try to right your ship or do what you feel is necessary. Of course, there's going to be turnover in the front office because when guys get hired, they're coming back and taking their buddies as well. So I look at it as more positive. The negative is what Rich is saying. Howie and Lori want all the credit. So anyone that has done anything successful here have questions or is upset about not getting their due, then Howie and Lori terminate them. But I think it's more so of that success. When you're successful, when you have success in your successful business, people try to steal your employees, and if your employees are offered a better opportunity, they take it and they go elsewhere. So I think that's what's happened. And the Eagles have had fairly successful people in their front office and done a really good job, even back to the Banner days. So people still like you got to think when your team wins the Super Bowl, what happens if you have any free agents? They get overpaid. It's the same thing in front office jobs. Like if your front office is consistently doing a good job, someone's going to come pluck someone from your front office to put them in their front office to see if they can duplicate the success.
Right. And Joe,
And I,
Joe had a question in regards. He asked, "Was this the best wide receiver core the team has ever had?" I'll let you guys go first before I close that one out.
Calvin Williams, Fred Barnett, Keith Byers. I Then you had Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, Brett Selleck. Shout out to my guy Brett. We never got to see Maclin and Jackson actually perform together much. Then you had T.O. by itself with Greg Lewis and who was it? T.O., Greg Lewis, and
Freddie Mitchell.
yeah, that guy. I think Freddie Mitchell, you owe me $3. I seen you. You borrowed $3 from me at Wawa a couple days ago, and you still ain't paid me back. And who played with Carol Carmichael? No, I'm not going that far back. I think this has the potential to be. This definitely is lining up to if you go 1 through 5 with the tight ends. This definitely has the potential to be something special. If Hurts progresses and develops and actually gets the ball in their hands where they need it, this wide receiver, because I think Quez has been my guy. You know, I've been high on Quez since he came here. I think this is Quez's opportunity to break out. Like I think this is going to be something special. I think Quez is going to have a huge year. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Gainwell, Boston Scott. I think it's going to be something special. Like I just seen something, and one of my guys said someone wrote that Jalen Hurts is going to be the first receiver to throw for 4,000 yards and run for 1,000 yards this year. I mean, I don't want him to run for 1,000, but I could see it.
Yeah,
I don't want him. I don't want him anywhere near 750. I think like 600 is the max I would like to see from him. But it's definitely possible. I think this can be something special, and this receiving core could go down as the greatest receiving core the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had. Yes, Joseph, it might possibly be.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, for sure, I would have to agree as well. I mean, you have a Heisman winner, a guy that the wide receivers don't win the Heisman. They just don't. And you got Devontae Smith that won the Heisman in college, coming from an SEC Alabama school. Then you have a wide receiver that we just picked up that's proven. He's had 2 1,000-yard seasons in his young career. Yeah, people might look at last year, but he was hurt. And, I mean, at the end of the day, the fact that he was able to pull off those kind of seasons with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, and the fact that they run the ball with Derek and Mariota, and the fact that they run the ball with Henry all the time. I mean, it's a testament to AJ Brown that he's able to take short passes or slants to the house or be able to get those yak yards and run tough and everything like that. Then you add a pass catcher like Dallas Goedert. I mean, if you want to combine everyone together, like you were saying for like all the other generations, this one does have the potential. We didn't get to see, like you said, Macklin and Djax really play together a lot. And I mean, Macklin had his season by himself. He was 2014, the last 1,000-yard receiver we had. So hopefully this year we can. I don't even like, even if, let's say, both of them have like 900 and 999, like, and then you have like 700 from these guys. I want to see everyone produce. I want to see everyone productive. I don't need one guy to outshine everybody else. We have the pieces in place to really have everyone shine together. And I lost my train of thought there, so go ahead.
I think that it's still out. I think the verdict is still out. And the reason I say that is because I understand the fact that, Mac and DJ didn't get to play together. But I don't think it was really a factor of them not playing together. I just think they came in together at a weird time because that was McNabb's. He was at the end, right? And then you got the beginning of Chip Kelly. Right?
Yeah, the buffer, Kevin Kolb, and then finally Mike Vick, and then Nick Foles. It was all over the place a little bit.
Right, but if they, I believe if they would have had the 2003 or 2004 McNabb, I think they would have probably been the best wide receiver tandem they have had, period, hands down, because you would have gotten McNabb at the peak of his skill level, and then you would have had Djax coming into his prime. You would have had Macklin coming into his prime, on top of Zach Ertz just coming in. Selleck still being there, but it's transforming to Ertz being there, and then at that time you still had Shady at that time being a decent running back. So you could have incorporated him into the passing attack. So when you look at that, at that point in time, I think that receiving core would have been the best. But
so you telling me AJ Brown and Devontae Smith is better than Deshaun Jackson and Riley Cooper? Vanilla Megatron?
Oh no, I don't want no parts of that. I'm just sticking to Macklin and Jackson. Yeah, I don't even count him as he was even on the team. I don't even count him.
I know I tried not to, but he carried me to my fantasy league final one year. Vanilla Megatron. I gave him the name Vanilla Megatron because he carried me to the fantasy. He carried me to my fantasy league finals one year. But no, this definitely. I think even what, and just to play off what you said, the Jackson and Macklin had Mike Vick, but the problem was Macklin got hurt. We didn't get to see that because Macklin got hurt and missed a bunch of games. But I would think this has the potential to be the most potent wide receiver room we've seen in my lifetime, because we didn't get to see I feel like we were really robbed, because if I seen what Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson did that season when they started the season crazy against the Redskins, right? And that was without Macklin. So I just imagine that if Macklin was there, that team, I think that team lost to the Saints in the playoffs, right? That was Chip Kelly's first year. That team lost off the Alex Hall missed the field goals. I was just talking about this earlier today. That team didn't have Jeremy Macklin, and it was still so explosive offensively. Shady led the league in rushing that year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right, yeah.
Or was that the second year? Shady led the league in rushing. You had Deshaun Jackson, who was a big play.
I think that's when Nick Foles was quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah, because Mike Vick started, but he got hurt, and Nick Foles took over for him, right? And then Riley Cooper was the third receiver, but Macklin got hurt, so Riley Cooper ended up being the starter. And he went crazy. That's when Nick Foles went crazy against the Raiders, threw for like 7 touchdowns. Yeah. Right. So I think Macklin, if we would have got that Mike Vick If we would have got that Mike Vick with that Deshaun and Macklin was actually healthy that year, I think that would have been really, really fun to watch and really sick. But I think this has the potential. Like you said, you have a receiver who won the Heisman from Bama. You have AJ Brown, who is another SEC kid who had 2,000-yard receiving who has 2,000-yard receiving years with Marcus Mariota and Tannehill. So I believe like we needed a big yak guy. Like we needed a guy because everybody tries to knock Jalen Hurts about his arm strength or whatever. So if you have a quarterback whose arm strength is the question, then you go get a guy who can make plays after the catch, right? And I think that's what they did. They went and got a guy who excels at yards after the catch. So, I mean, AJ Brown was I lit up. Like I was already like super excited when they drafted Jordan Davis, but then to find out they drafted Jordan Davis and they were able to get AJ Brown, and for what they gave up, like dude, this draft was such a win. Like this draft was a win in my eyes. Like, and I can't. Like I know we talked about it earlier, but just to go back and speak on it again, you realistically, you got a top. I think Jordan Davis was like the sixth best player in this draft. I said top 10, but if I go back and look at my list, I'm pretty sure I would have been fine with him going anywhere from 6 to 15, just depending on what team was taking. So I think Jordan Davis was definitely. You had Georgia, who was the national champion, right?
Right.
You had the most dominant player on their defense in Jordan Davis. You got him at 13.
Right.
Then you come back and you take Jurgensen is his name, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Jurgens, yeah.
Who,
Cam Jurgens. Yeah.
Jurgens. I said Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens, who I had as a second, third round guy.
Yeah.
But he was the second best center available. And I went back and looked, and a lot of people had him rated as better than the kid from Iowa. They just said he played at a really down Nebraska program.
True.
So you took Jurgens in the second round. So you took him as the center of the future, but he's so similar to the center of the future we took last year that they said he's going to learn from Kelsey, but he also may be able to compete for a guard position. So Siamalu's job, he might come in and take Siamalu's job, which is definitely possible.
Yeah, because I don't think they're going to keep him next year either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So in the second round, you got Jordan Davis in the first round, right? You got Jordan Davis in the first round. Then with that second pick of the first round, you flip that for AJ Brown, who, if AJ Brown was in this draft, he'd be the number one pick, right? So you got Jordan Davis and you got AJ Brown in the first round. Then you turn around in the second round, you come back and you get Jurgens, who is the center of the future, but he might be the guard for tomorrow, depending on how everything plays out. Just like ACL, man, I'm going to give him his respect now. Just like Landon, who I clowned last year and said until he steps on the field, I'm not going to call him by his name. But he not only did he step on the field, he stepped on the field and he played ball. And he's our starting guard, right? So you have Jurgens, who have the potential to actually be the other starting guard this year and move over to center next year. So that was a great pick.
Yes.
And then so you have you killed the first round because you got Jordan Davis and AJ Brown. Then you back up the second round. Then you come back to the second round and you get a guy who we might sit on him if he's playing center, but he has the potential to be a starter this year, right?
Right.
And then you follow that up, but in the third round, Jordan Davis was the most dominant player on Georgia's defense. Walker, I didn't like that first. I didn't like him as a number one overall pick. I definitely didn't. I had him at about 15, 16. But you have Walker, who flashed the most on the Georgia defense, but then you come back in the third round and you get Nakobe Dean, the leader of that Georgia defense in the third round. The leader, the guy who put people in place to be successful, the guy who led tackles, the guy who I feel was the second best linebacker, arguably the first. If you like Devin Lloyd, you like Lloyd. Like, I'm not going to argue. If you tell me Lloyd was the best linebacker in the draft, then Lloyd was the best linebacker in the draft. But I thought Dean and Lloyd were 1A and 1B. And you got 1B in the third round after bagging Jordan Davis, getting A.J. Brown, getting your center guard for the future, your guard for right now, and you got a linebacker who can come in today and is instantly a starter in the third round. You won. Richie. I'm gonna Driscoll. Hold on. I'm gonna address Richie. I believe Juergens is competing with Isaac right now for that guard spot. I believe Isaac is his job is in jeopardy if Juergens comes in right now and he shows he can play at this level. I believe Siamala is trade bait, or you can, and depending on this cap hit, you can get rid of him. The line is solid, offensive and defensive. They're solid, but that goes back to a conversation we had months ago. Is the proper way to build a team still through the trenches? We just watched Joe Burrow get sacked 75 times and play in the Super Bowl. So, but right now we're building through the trenches. So I think if Juergens is solid, Siamalo's job is definitely in jeopardy. Driscoll, I mean, I
don't even think he's a starter. I think he's more of
I'm about to say he. That's just what I was getting ready to say. I'm like, you said that like that name was. He's not a starter. He's a depth guy. He might start. He probably could start on the bottom third for the bottom third of NFL teams. But is Driscoll really a starter on the team whose aim is the playoffs or whose goal is a championship? No, probably not.
I don't know. So I got a quick question for you guys because I do have to head out, and I know this is a little late, but I know you mentioned the Phillies earlier, and I haven't really been able to clown you guys like that. What happened when you guys were up like 7-1 versus the Mets and blew it in the ninth inning?
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna close that out real quick. I don't even think that most folks in Philadelphia they may watch the Phillies for like the first 2 innings, and then after that they turn it off and watch something else. Like, I've stopped watching completely because I already know what's going to happen. It's either going to be you're going to have a great pitching outing, and then you're not going to get any run support, or you're going to get a lot of run support, and then they're going to give up a seven run lead. You know what I'm saying? It's either one or the other, and then you get the poor Joe Girardi is stuck in the middle, and he's just like, I think he's just coaching out the string, man, just getting his checks, man, because I think he's done.
Yeah,
this team, and I don't. It's sort of like this, man. Other than they're wasting. I still think the owner is wasting time. He's wasting guys' careers. Middleton, like last year, he let Harper just lay out there. Him and JT, they let him out there, just lay out there for a year with no support, no other bats in the lineup, And it's just like, Lord have mercy, man, do something, get some better pitchers, and I think that's where it all starts. You have you have one ace on the team, and then you have Wheeler, right? Wheeler is really the ace more than actually Nola is, right?
Hmm.
So then you got that situation, and then Nola, like, he may come around and have like 1 star outing, like every 5 or 6 starts, and then I just don't think this. I don't think the owner is serious about winning, and that's what you've seen. Or you get, I think they got Bryce Harper just to, quiet some of the heat he got on him, but does what you're just leaving him out there with nothing.
I hear
So
that.
that's yeah.
But word, man. Well, I appreciate it. I know Marv has been going in and out throughout the last, so hopefully he reconnects. You're not solo, but it's been a pleasure, bro. And we're going to have to do this again soon, especially as some more moves are made before training camp this summer for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. I'm gonna close this out for everybody out there in the Philly region, man. We're going to close this out with the Sixers. Right now they're down 3-2. Last night was a horrible, horrible basketball game, but it was completely. I expected that to happen, and I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm not a person that does any of that. I've played ball all my life, you know what I'm saying, and I know the ups and downs of the game and ups and downs of going in the series and stuff like that. But I knew going down in Miami, man, they weren't going to be mentally prepared. And I don't want to hear the whole thing about, hey, Embiid is sad because he wasn't getting an MVP or he was down because of the thumb or the concussion or all that. Man, look, all of those guys went down there and they just didn't have any energy, and then I saw someone say, on social media and then in the media, like, those guys are tired because they had to travel. I'm like, look, man, let's be real about this. They're not flying commercial down to Miami, right? They're on the jet, chartered plane from the team, right? So that flight, you're not stopping anywhere. So it's not like you have a layover. You're going from you're going from Philadelphia to Miami. That's what's happening, right? So when you
Yeah,
get at that point from Philadelphia to Miami, that's maybe a 2 hour and 15 minute
two
flight,
hour
maybe
30 minute, 2 hour 30 minute, yeah, 2 hour 30 minutes.
so, and then they probably left if they were if I'm guessing they probably left early that morning to go to Miami, or they left that night to go. You don't know. You see what I'm saying? So you get that. I don't want to hear the whole thing of, well, they were tired. No, they just were unprepared and they were lazy. That's what it was.
Yeah, and they didn't hit shots, and they didn't hit shots. Like, so, I'm not getting ready to make no excuses for the Sixers. Our bench has always sucked. Our bench has always been garbage. Doc seems to not adjust. So that I don't want to hear about jet lag. I don't want to hear about anything. I've traveled for work. I've been around the world. I met Mason.
Right. It's just, I'll wait till,
Um, the excuse of jet lag on an East Coast flight, a flight straight down the East Coast, which takes about 2 hours, 2 hours and 30 minutes max. You're not getting off with that. Oh, they were tired, jet lag excuse. It's obviously a good game on. It's 105, 105. I need the Bucks to go ahead and pull through for me tonight. But oh yeah, Tatum just Bobby Porter's just made a block on Tatum. Yes, sir. I'm watching it. I'm watching it as we talk. But yeah, Sixers just ain't hitting shots. They're not hitting shots on the road. The bench has been horrible on the road. I mean, it's just been really bad. It's just been really bad on the road. Hopefully,
right.
they hold home court. They get a dub. They get a dub at home, and they force a game seven because anything can happen in the game seven, and ain't nothing better in sports than a game seven. So, um, yeah, I'm just hoping that they hold serve and defend home court and force the Heat to win another one at home because the Heat have played 3 lights out games at home. Let's see if they can play a fourth one. Like that should be the goal. Let's force the Heat to play another great game at home You got what Max Sturgis and Gabriel, whatever his name is, shooting like they are the new. They're the East Coast version of the Splash Brothers. I don't think they can continue that. Um, and then you
Yeah,
got Tyler Hero.
yeah, my man Gabe looks like he's straight out of a Tyler Perry movie.
Yeah,
You
he
know what I'm saying?
he
Yeah,
looked like the mechanic with three kids who got his ex-wife left him and said he didn't make
right.
enough money and then he fine. Yeah, man. I mean, I just need. I think if the Sixers are able to win this game, I need Doc to just really have a talk with his players for Game 7, and I need him to limit the rotation to seven players. Like
Yeah,
Paul Reed comes in and get a few minutes, and then maybe Stank Milton. But other than that, I don't. Maybe Niang. You got to decide if Niang or Stank is going to play. But both of them have been horrible on the road.
you
It's
know,
just like Docs. I don't. I Furcon better than I would leave Furcon at home. If they win tomorrow, Furcon, you don't even need to travel with the team. Like you don't even need to travel with the team. Like um, his adjustments, his rotations have been disgusting. Everything has sucked when they go on the road. But tomorrow we playing in Philly. I expect JoJo to come out and play a little ball. I mean, it was a lose lose. Like he said, it was a lose lose situation for him coming back. But I appreciate that he did come back. I'm happy that he came back, and I think this is still a winnable series. Um, I just need for James Harden to show up, and I need I need the starters to be ready to play 38, 40 minutes. The next
I,
two games, you're gonna have to play 38, 40 minutes if you want to win this series.
you're right, and I just think that I want to give. I'm struggling with this. I want to give some of the blame to Doc, but then I have to every time I get angry with Doc, I go back to the fact because it is a fact that since 2018, the organization has not had a decent bench in 5 years.
I
So,
agree. We
so
have
you get to a point where you're asking this man to maximize. It's almost like there is no toothpaste in that
and
tube
the
anymore.
two, but you keep squeezing and you keep rolling.
Right? There's
But the
just
reason they don't have a
enough
bench
there.
is
There's
because
not
they
enough.
giving Tobias Harris all the bench money.
This is but the thing is though they've made mistakes in getting bench guys that they clearly could have gotten.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like you sat there, you could have got Gary Harris from Orlando. They chose not to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You sat there and you you sat there and you're telling me, that's tough. So you
Yeah.
sit there,
Porter hit it, but hey,
yeah. So
that's
you
a
sit,
game right there.
so you sit there and you tell me that you know there were no other like you went and thought this is where I want to shift the blame to Doc a little bit. You sat there and you had Willie Cauley Stein, and I'm not saying Willie was great, but he was a livelier body than
Yeah, he was a
DeAndre Jordan.
body, and yeah, he was definitely more of a live body than DeAndre Jordan.
Right? You can't even play like you have like right now, and I love Danny. I love Danny for everything he's given. You know what I'm saying? But you
Yeah,
literally like 3 games had two guys you that should be retired,
yeah.
and
You have
then
two guys that are in nursing home. You have two guys
right,
that are nursing home as far as NBA standards. Like
right,
DeAndre Jordan and Danny Green shouldn't be on the court, and they damn sure shouldn't be on the court together. Because if I see that, I'm putting both of them in the pick and roll.
and then you can't play Millsap. You can't do
You
that,
can't.
and
I think
because
I went to
Doc,
high school with Millsap.
oh man, and then like it's just like, and then with Doc, and then the back to Doc. This is where you don't want to shade him, but you have to in some point in time because you've drafted Bassey, and you went through a contract dispute with him, and then you didn't. You had Paul Reed, and
Yeah,
you took no time to develop them.
yeah.
Not 1 minute did you try to develop them.
You
And
let him
then
go
now,
down to the D League,
right? And then it's like,
run
what?
wild
It's
in the
like,
D League.
yeah, it's like, what did you do, man? That's just so like that is bad. And then
Yeah,
now when you need them, you expect them to try to contribute. I'm like, bro, like you could have done better.
you could have had him there learning. Instead, you said go down there in Wilmington, go down to Delaware, and just run wild. It's really easy to just let him go down there and run wild and be like, oh, we have something. But you could have had him up with the big fellas. You could have had him up with the big boys, learning and watching and getting his reps in practice. But no,
Right.
you let him run wild. And then running wild, you thought you had something. Not saying that Paul Reed is a bad player, but if you're relying on Paul Reed to give you legitimate backup minutes at center in a playoff run, your
Right.
team probably isn't going to win the championship.
Right. And then you rely on them, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
they made a bad mistake in regards to keeping DeAndre. There was no reason to
yeah,
keep him.
yeah.
You know?
I would have rather had Cauley Stein. At least he's more athletic. He fed into what was going on. Like he bought DeAndre Jordan. Like the Lakers cut him for a reason, right?
Right, because he was done.
Because he was
Because
washed.
he was
He
done.
was washed.
Yeah, and then
The-
the elephant in the room that I want to get to is everyone has an opinion on Harden. I'm just like, Lord have mercy, man. They don't understand something like this is understanding basketball. They've only played 20 games together total, right?
yeah,
And then on top of the man is still. I'm not trying to be the complete apologist for him, but look, man, they haven't played that many games together. He's still trying to get healthy. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to see Houston
you're not
Hart,
going to see. Yeah, you're not going to see Houston Harden. He has
right?
a hamstring issue. Those take time to heal.
Right.
But you know what's crazy? In the 20-something games he's played, look up Sixers all-time assist leaders. He's like seven. He has 7 of the best assist games in Sixers history.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, hard. He keeps coming in. He's adjusting from. He's trying to develop chemistry with Embiid. He's playing on a bum wheel. Then you have Embiid who's playing with a broke face. Like, I just want these guys to get out of. I just want these guys. I mean, I believe they can push it to Game 7. I believe they can push it to Game. God, what Drew the Bucks this Bucks Celtics game is crazy. Um, Look at Marcus Smart looking there with the goofy face.
I
I
don't know why he
believe,
kept trying to dribble. I'm looking at like, what were you doing? The
yeah.
guy was ahead.
Why,
All you had to do
why,
was throw
why,
the ball.
yeah. What are you doing? Um,
Oh my god.
but you know, Harden is wow,
The guy was
wow.
wide up. That's what it was. You saw what Hart. You saw what a Smart was doing. You see where his head was. You see where his head
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
His head
exactly.
was
It's
down. He
down
wasn't looking down. He wasn't looking down the. He wasn't looking down the
down the
court.
court. He was looking down court. He was
Because
looking
I
down.
saw him. I saw the dude wide open.
Yeah.
All you had to do was throw it. He was too busy
So
trying to dribble. But
hey, great game. Get them Celtics up out of there. Like,
yeah,
it's. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough because, like, when you got the Hart, when the trade came in for Harden, I like you and I, and we had realistic expectations. Like, I knew Harden was hurt, and
right.
and I knew it was going to be a fight. We didn't expect Embiid to get hurt because I believe with a healthy Embiid, even with a wobbly Harden and a healthy Embiid, the Sixers beat the Heat in 6.
Well, absolutely.
So I just want what my goal. My goal is to take it to 7. Take it to 7. If we can get to Miami for Game 7. I believe anything can happen. And then I just want everybody healthy. Like, I know everybody's saying, oh, the Sixers would be crazy to re-sign Harden. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't, because he'll get a year off. Like, Harden's game has never been super explosive. Harden has never been the fastest. Harden has never been the quickest. He hasn't fallen off. He's just hurt right now.
He's just hurt.
And it hurt might be part to his conditioning. Conditioning might play into it partly. But I think if Harden, this is a reality check to him too. So if he's really about basketball, I don't care what you do outside of work. If you're going to dedicate and get in shape, like, go to the studio, go to whatever, live your life, go to the club. If you're in shape and if you're producing, nobody's going to say anything. And Harden has been able to produce nonstop, no matter what his outside life, no matter what he did outside of basketball, he's always been able to produce. I think with this injury, it's bringing him back down to reality, and he's either going to say, hey, maybe I need to get in a little better shape. And that's the hope. He needs to get in a little better shape, get the hammy right, and then let's go. Like, let's figure out what we're doing with Tobias. Because it's clear Maxey has stepped up and become the third option with Harden. So if you
But go ahead. I know what I don't want to see is somebody sitting there comparing Kyle Lowry, pinning the hopes of the series on Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
I'm like, shut up, man. Like,
yeah, it's a lot. You know, so dudes be so goofy and so stupid, and they show their hate and their ignorance. Like, you hate Philly so bad that you gonna say, "Oh, the Sixers missing Embiid, but the Heat are missing Kyle Lowry."
Yeah,
bro. And then it be coming from goofy. It be coming from these goofy Lakers fans. Or be coming from like goofy fans, Knicks fans. Like, Knicks fans and Lakers fans have so much to comment about the Sixers. Bro, your team, how you hating from outside the club when you can't get in? And then they made a 10 team. It's 10 teams that got into the playoffs this year.
Right, and they still
and they still couldn't get in. So if you're a Lakers fan or you're a Knicks fan, I don't respect your opinion, because the Lakers, and this hurts me because I love LeBron. The Lakers had LeBron, Westbrook, AD. Granted, they were injured, but they still couldn't get in the playoffs.
Right.
Embiid literally carried the Sixers with no Ben Simmons. Harden played 20 games in the Sixers uniform. Embiid with no Ben Simmons had the Sixers at a 2 seed at one point.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm not trying to hear your opinion talking about, the Heat missing Kyle Lowry and they doing this. Fam, Kyle Lowry averaged 6 points.
And Kyle at the end too. And the people don't. You want to talk about
Kyle was at the end. Yeah, he was at. That's why Toronto let him go. But I mean, he. I ain't gonna hate on nobody getting the check, but Kyle Lowry is definitely at the end. Like, if we being real. So for you to say the best player in the league, you comparing the best player in the league to Kyle Lowry and saying their impacts are similar, you're just either ignorant or you're a hater. And I'm going to go with your hater, because most of the people who are hating are haters for no reason. They just hate Philadelphia. Like, that's just like the Dallas Yankees Laker fan, or the Lakers Raiders. Like, y'all dudes goofy. Like, and y'all look for every reason to hate just because. I mean, it is what it is. But if you really think Kyle Lowry has the same impact as Joel Embiid, you need a psychiatric evaluation, sir.
Yeah.
But I'm learning not to address. I'm learning not to address those folks anymore. Mr. Wing said the Eagles have a sweet schedule. They do. But I mean, if you play in the NFC East, you have a sweet schedule. So that is what it is. Richie, 4 coaches in the East that are currently in the playoffs. Rivers is the worst. Udoka, what has Udoka done? I mean, I can't say Udoka is a better coach than Doc Rivers. I mean, what has Spoelstra done other than be the guy who LeBron James named as coach?
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
when you look at it, Udoka is probably going home at the same. If
Yeah,
if things don't go right, if things don't go right for Philly tomorrow, Udoka
yeah.
could be going home on Friday.
Udoka going home on Friday. Like Udoka's really going home on Friday. Like, how is Udoka better than Doc? Udoka has 2 top 10 wing players, the defensive player of the year. I don't know. And he's
And they
still
were
he's
like
still
number
down.
2, and they were the number 2 seed, right?
Yeah, they had 2 seed, and he's still down. He's still down 3-2. So what has Udoka done that makes him better than Doc? Doc blown 3-1 leads. Okay. We all know Doc blows 3-1 leads. That's why it's 2-2. Let's see if Doc pulls out. But you can't say Udoka's better than Doc. That's inaccurate.
When he came from Doc's staff last year, I think, or the year
Yeah,
before. So
the year before. They like Udoka's definitely not better than Doc. He's done nothing to prove that he's better than Doc.
he has.
Coach Buzz,
Go ahead.
he has Greek, and he just let Greek be Greek. I can't fault you for that. Is he better than Doc? I don't know, but he has the Greek, and Greek
Oh,
definitely is a problem.
and I see Mr. Wing says it shows the heart of the Sixers. The Bucks were down 14 in the fourth, and they battled back and won. The Sixers were down 14 in the fourth and let the Heat go on a 7-0 win. I think that's a misinterpretation. The reason I say that is because the Sixers were. You want to compare that one game, but the Heat were up 2-0, right? So
Right.
if that was true about their heart, then they wouldn't have played. They wouldn't have came back to even get to a two up.
Yeah, they tied it 2 up, right?
Yeah.
See, people just say stupid things like this. The Sixers really came back from 0-2, got their best player back, tied it up 2-2. Now they down 3-2. They lost the game. Like somebody said, Embiid looked like he didn't want to play last night because he didn't win MVP and he just didn't play effort. That man dove for a loose ball in the first quarter.
Right.
That man dove in the crowd for a loose ball in the first quarter. If he doesn't care, if he's upset because he lost the MVP, if he's down and depressed because he lost the MVP, or if he's playing lackluster because he's lost the MVP, he's not diving for a loose ball in the first. He's not diving in the stands for a loose ball in the first quarter.
Right. Yeah.
You people keep trying to paint this narrative, and you keep listening to Skip Bayless, and you keep listening to those goofballs and letting them influence y'all. You guys have 2 eyes. I have 4 tonight, and I watch from my own. What's good, cheesesteak 490? How you making out tonight? You ain't missing nothing. Just us being us. We had Brandon on for a little while. It's always good when Brandon can sneak away and give us some time. We had Brandon on. He was our guest for tonight. But you didn't miss much, cheesesteak.
And then Mr. Wing, the rest of the team, that was what we talked about earlier. It's just that they didn't come to play.
They didn't make shots.
And it was expected, though. I expected it because of the fact that, the one is the inconsistency. Number 2, how things go in the NBA. If you watch it a lot, right? Especially these last, I want to say 2 to 3 years. If you'll watch one conference final or conference semi finals conference game, right? And then you'll see another one. What is the coincidence of both games and both teams, away teams, getting blown out by 30?
Yeah, or even or like, and I'm not, I don't complain and talk a lot. I do complain and talk a lot when it comes to sports, but I'm gonna just say this: that game last night was probably the worst officiated game I've seen in a long time. Like, bro, James Harden driving to the bucket, no fouls. Joel Embiid driving to the bucket, no fouls. But Max Sturgis or Gabriel Vincent drive to the bucket and somebody taps him, the whistle blows. Jimmy
Right.
Butler, it was so awkward. Like it's hard to fathom. Like the Sixers didn't get the calls, and I'm not saying they should get. I know James, but I know they look for the foul a lot. But it was like certain times they were literally getting manhandled.
They get fouled
Like
a
it was,
lot.
they get fouled, and the whistles just stay silent. And I'm like, bro, a foul is a part of the game. Like I don't care. Like I don't care that people were upset because people weren't upset last year when they were fouling Ben Simmons and sending him to the line 25 times. You know why? Because Ben Simmons didn't make free throws. Nobody complained about hacking Shaq because Shaq wasn't making his free throws. I don't care. He gets fouled 25 times. Send him to the line 25 times, Mr. Ref. Take that whistle out your butt and blow it. I'm trying not to.
Speaking of that plug we just saw, I don't think Kyrie's going to be in. I don't think Kyrie or Ben.
Yeah. What Mark said today.
He meant that.
Yeah, he meant that today. What Mark said today, I think he definitely was talking about both of those guys.
I think he's getting both of them out of there.
Yeah,
one of them two is not going to be there when they start their opening game.
Yeah, one of them won't be on the roster
because he specifically said, "I want guys that are going to show up, be there on time, and compete." I don't know which one of those two he was talking about, but
he was talking about Kyrie Simmons.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Richie, you right. Doc said he could get Ben to play offense. That was his selling point on the job. And Ben's no longer here, so you're saying Doc should leave. But y'all want Doc going. Who are we supposed to get? D'Antoni? I definitely don't want D'Antoni here because I don't think he ain't gonna have no idea what to do with Embiid. But we're not even gonna have who's the future coach until the season ends. We'll have that conversation when we come on our next podcast to discuss who the future coach is. But I'm liking the Sixers to win this series. I'm praying for it. Please, baby Jesus. Please, baby Jesus. But you know what I'm saying? We'll get to that when the time comes. But Dawn Staley would be an amazing coach, but she's not leaving South Carolina. She's definitely not leaving South Carolina. I don't know. Like I said, we just gotta focus on a day at a time.
Right.
A day at a time. And we take it a day at a time. We get a win tomorrow. Hopefully we get a win tomorrow. And then we see Miami in 7. The Sixers can't continue to shoot this bad on the road, and Miami can't continue to shoot that great at home. So something's got to give. In Game 7s, your superstars normally cancel each other out, and the people say your superstars win Game 7s, right? And people say your superstars win games on the road, but I totally don't agree with that. I think in Game 7s and in your really big games, your superstars do what they're supposed to do, but it's a role player that makes plays.
The team
that's not scared of the moment.
It's the team
that comes through in Game 7. I think the role players make a huge difference in a Game 7. So, I'm just excited for tomorrow's game. I'm hoping the Sixers get the win in Philly, and I'm hoping the Sixers give me something to look forward to this weekend because I believe if they can force a Game 7, then a Game 7 is winnable. Tobias, we can get 20 from Tobias, especially if they keep switching. If they keep switching the pick and roll, and Tobias gets put on Hero, or Tobias gets put on Oladipo, or whoever is playing that 2-3 when Tobias is in the game and they run the pick and roll, I believe he can give you 20. But I think Tobias's 20 is either really good because it comes through the flow of the offense, or Tobias is getting 20 in a blowout, which doesn't help us at all.
I just think that at the end of the day, the one thing 76ers fans can be sure of is that they're going to play on Thursday. You know, Brooklyn's not playing on Thursday, so
Yeah,
where
yeah.
exactly is Brooklyn at? You know, but
I
we,
don't know, but he great play. You know, he great play that again. He
we're not
great
going to talk
play it
about
again.
it.
And you know what? I don't even have no issue with Brooklyn. I just hate that they fans try to like their fans are hating on us. Like, let's not
Passive,
hate on.
passive
Let's.
aggressive.
Why are y'all hating on Brooklyn? What did Philly do to y'all to make y'all hate? I love Brooklyn style pizza. Look, I love Brooklyn pizza.
You think
I
we
love
want
the
it, Ben?
Brooklyn Bridge.
You think we want it, Ben? So why
We
would you?
didn't
Why would you so I know
like. Come
y'all don't
on,
want it.
Brooklyn. Stop hating on us because y'all took Ben Simmons. I mean, he played 20. He played Call of Duty for 23 hours straight.
And then had an epidural. Then had to get an epidural. Like
Hey,
because and it's a
we got a
fact that
few.
he did that.
We got a few more minutes. I want to tell y'all, I'm so happy to get this release. I'm so happy to do a show tonight. Like I'm so happy to do a show tonight. I'm so happy to get with Black. I wish Joe could have been on Castro. I wish Castro, big Castro, the boss. We gotta get Castro on. But you know why he don't come on our show no more? Because he got those guys that he only deal with. I'm gonna get once I get a blue Twitter check, you gotta come on my show. Once I get my blue check on Twitter, Joe, you gotta come on. No, I'm just giving him a hard time. That's my guy, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, Brandon, shout out to Brandon. Like I know BB so busy with everything he got going on. Shout out to Brandon for coming on tonight. Appreciate the love. You know the Eagles get him hype. Brandon, always Eagles, always hype. Joe Castro, Black, Philly the podcast. We doing big things. I gotta shout out my man Scoob endorsed because because I feel like it crew. Scoob was just named top 5 D-back trainer in the nation. Like I don't got the list because my phone died. But my man Scoob down in Atlanta doing it big. He got so many D-backs coming through, pros, college guys. He got all the UGA guys, all the Clemson guys down there working heavy. He got Grady Jarrett down there still. He got Daquan Bowers was through there not long ago. What's the not AJ Terrell? Was that AJ Terrell? Where's AJ Terrell? He's with the Falcons. Somebody,
Yes.
Scoob, you doing it big. Doris, I still see you, man. Them sneakers you did for Sheen was dope. I just got it. I'm giving everybody flowers. You know me. I give flowers when they're here. I want you to get your flowers when you're here. I love you, dudes. I appreciate you, dudes. My guy, Black. Philly, the city. We gonna see y'all for Game 7.
Boo Neal.
We going to Miami for Game 7.
Yep.
It's a Wednesday. I'm hyped. It's a Wednesday. Bucks just shut the Celtics fans up. I ain't got to hear no Boston Celtics noise tonight. It's a Wednesday. Joe put this thing together. We making it pop. I want to thank all y'all for tuning in the chat. I actually had to use this Chromebook, so I couldn't comment in the chat. I wasn't ignoring y'all. I just don't know how to leave comments with this. I'll be on my tablet next week. For some reason, it wasn't working. Illuminati member, what's up? When y'all going to set my application, man? I seen y'all ran my credit score last week. I'm just trying to get in there. I'm trying to get my own brand of tequila. That's all I want. I want the Fat James Harden tequila on shelves by Christmas.
Yeah, just
but
don't
nah,
do
man,
us
I
like
appreciate y'all for rocking with us.
Just don't do us like Young Thug, man. You know what I mean? Don't do us
Oh
like
yeah.
Thug.
Hey, don't throw us under the bus. Don't throw us under the bus. Hey, listen. Hey, Richie, you keep hating on Doc. Let me tell you something. You know why you need to relax? Because Doc wasn't up 3-1 this series. It was a 2-2 series. Doc puts his best coaching performances on when it's not 3-1. So now we was 2-2 and I was cool. Now we down Now we down 3-2. Doc Gray getting his bag, and Doc Gray find out a way to win 2 games. Richie, you gotta relax. You gotta have faith. I would give y'all a sermon right now, but y'all don't have a collection plate for me to pass around. Y'all don't have a collection plate to pass around so I can get paid. So I'm not going to give y'all a sermon about faith. But I'm going to tell you, the only time you should be worried about Doc is when he has a 3-1 lead after the series has been 1-1 or 2-1. Doc never had a 3-1 lead in this series. So the probability of Doc winning this series is really, 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 really way better than what you guys think it is. That's what I said. We just got to get a win tomorrow. We just got to hold home court. We got to go down to Miami because nobody in Miami even likes Miami Heat. Nobody in Miami likes the Miami Heat. They don't be at the games. Like
the third quarter.
Yeah, Miami Heat fans ain't in Miami. If Miami Heat fans is somewhere else, like in South Philly. But like, just relax, Richie. We just got to win tomorrow. Take it a day at a time. Take it a day at a time. Breathe. Let's get through tomorrow. And if we get through tomorrow, then there's a strong possibility we can win a game 7.
Yep.
Have faith.
Yep.
Have faith. We got to get out of here because we done talked y'all head off for 1 hour and 25 minutes. But we will be back more often. We will be back. Well, Joe does something every day. Shout out, Joe's grinding. Joe's grinding every day. You might see something with Joe. You might see Joe. Joe might got a feature interview with Michael Jackson, Kanye West, or somebody. Every day, Joe got a feature. So, like podcast, like and subscribe because Joe's out here giving y'all daily content every day. That's why he got to go to bed. That's why we got to get off. We got to get off now because he got to go to bed so he can wake up early in the morning. He run like 3 miles a day. I'm thinking he eat like a dozen raw. He might have cut back to half a dozen, but he get up and run like 6 miles and eat like 12 raw eggs every day. And then he just be up here interviewing people. Like he got a list of interviews he has to get through. So Joe's grinding every day. I'm back. Black's back. Philly City. Brandon was here today. My guy B always makes me smile because B's just an Eagles fan. He's the ultimate Eagles fan. So we back. We live. We great bring y'all the content. And like I said, Jared Maben, that's my guy. Y'all go look him up. Safety from Alabama, the technician, technically sound. He just a little small, but we can work with that. We don't got much in the safety room. He gonna be the star player. He gonna be the player to watch. But we ready to get out of here, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate the love. I love y'all back. Thank y'all for everything, and we out of here.
Yes, sir. B Scott with the Philadelphia
John
Eagles.
Dornbos here, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, we're just the Philadelphia Eagles.
Follow my guy Joe Castro on his YouTube/podcast channel.
Let's give a shout out to the Philly podcast.
Shout out Philly and my guy Joe Castro. So keep on doing great things, guys. Fly Eagles fly.
Fly Eagles fly.
Go Birds.